and I am back with the first video of trying out trends. Super excited, guys. This is going to be a lot of fun, this series, and I think it's going to challenge me as a scrapbooker personally to really go out there and try out things that necessarily I wouldn't do because I'm like, I would never do it like that. But that's the beauty of, you know, seeing a trend is looking at it, enjoying it, and then making it work for you. So the first trend I want to try out is the white background trend. I don't know why I had a hard time with that. The white background trend. I love it. I think it's really great to have just a crisp, clean background, and then your scrapbooking right on top of just that white. But what I decided to do was, as I was looking at the trend and seeing the different ways that people were doing it, I thought I would like to break this particular one up into two different layouts. So the first one we're going to do today is going to be white backgrounds with a repetitive motif, and then the next one I'm going to do is going to be a white background minimalist, because I noticed there was a lot of that. Either it had a lot of stuff on it and it was like people were trying to reclaim the white space back and cover it with stuff, or they were using a very minimal scrapbooking. So I went through my white papers, and I had these papers with some texture from Paper Pumpkin. I've seen a lot of obviously just plain white cardstock, which is great if you're gonna like use mixed media on it, because you could just gesso the white and add stuff to it. But this one came with like a glossy on it. These are, you can see the different textures there. There's stars, florals, this kind of leafy one, the stripe, and these are cool if you're going to use like distress inks and stuff, because when you put them on there, the part that's not glossy absorbs the color, and then the rest it doesn't really absorb it as much, so you can see the pattern, like if you do some kind of like distressing on the page or mixed media on the page. And obviously, you know, you can do a plain white background, but I felt like for myself, I'm like, could I really handle white? And then I was like, okay, well, what does it look like if I do something that's white with like a little bit of pattern on it? So I started looking through my papers, and these are from this collection. It's Teresa Collins, Stationery Noted. And it has a lot of white with colors on it, but I didn't want any color. So I went through the paper and I found these different whites. And I really like them. This one has just this like a ledger, which is really cool. This one has a grid, which I also, is that too white? Can you see that? You can see the gridding on there. And then, but like when you see it with something against it that is white, I mean, it's not so jarring. And I like it because I get a little bit of something in the background, not necessarily just plain white. But the minimalist layout I do will be plain white. And then I had this like polka dot, this white on white can you see it? Let me just, no, other way. Can you see it now? It's like a white on white polka dot, which is really cool, which it'll show up better in the pictures. But I was having a really hard time deciding. And then I thought, well, if I do the other page all white, the companion page, then I could cut out the center of whichever other one I'm using, and because I have two sheets of each of these, and use that to outline like just the white on white. So you could just see, you know, you would see that on the outside, or like use it as strips or something to kind of frame the white paper. So the reason that I chose the Stationery Noted papers was because I'm going to scrapbook this picture of me and my stepmother. We did a show together last year, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. She convinced me to do this show, and we were like, oh, we're gonna have such a great time. We're gonna be all these scenes, it's gonna be great. And we were never on stage next to each other. I don't even recall. I think there was one moment during one song where we were like, hey, we're next to each other. Yeah, so I had a lead in that show. It was a lot of fun. And so I wanted to scrapbook that memory. So because it takes place in an office, I wanted some kind of officey paper. I'm also going to use for my pattern paper to add a little bit of color. I'm going to use the Memorandum collection from Pink Paisley. They have really great office stuff in there. And I am going to pull out every typewriter that I own, because we both played secretaries in the show, and I'm going to like typewriter the heck out of it. So I'm going to show you a few different pictures of repetitive motifs that I had. They're going to pop up on the screen. But the one that I like the most is this one. It is by Inkie Quill, Adele from the Inkie Quill. She's in Australia. And I just loved how, like, all down the one side, she used her repetitive motif, and then she had a big white area. So I think I'm going to use, as much as I love the ledger, I think it's just a little too much and it takes away from the white. And I love this graph paper, because I feel like it's not too, like, it's still, there's still a lot of white. And when it's next to a sheet of all white paper, it's going to look really cool. Especially if I decide to use it to frame the other paper. Stuff that I'm going to use. I'm just going to go through it really, well, you know what, as I do the video, you'll see it all. So I'm going to go into fast forward. I'm going to start my process, and here we go. Okay, so I'm going to get my papers out. I've already chosen the colors that I like. I picked papers that have secretary and office kind of motifs, because that is going to be the theme, the overall theme of both of my layouts that I'm going to do for you. And I liked the colors also to be from not just the picture, but from the show. We had a very specific color motif. Oh, that punches EK Success. It's a frayed paper, a little office-y kind of thing I liked to add in there. But the colors from the set were like this, like teal and this kind of lime green. So I wanted to be able to get a little bit of that in, just so when I look at the layout, I can remember things about the show. This paper is also from the Pink Paisley collection, and I love the stripe. I love that it breaks everything up so I don't just have solids. And it also has a music notes on it, which is great because the show was a musical. As I'm putting my layers together, I'm thinking about keeping everything really tight. I just want a little bit of every paper showing so that it doesn't distract from the fact that there's going to be a lot on the left side of the page, but that I still have a little more color to the layout, and it's not just white, but that I have colors from the show and colors that also match the picture. I am repeating myself today. Oh my gosh. ATG gun. I think I'm going to have to get another one, guys. You see me using glue on layers. That's a thing now. I wanted to use that tear tape, but every time I use the tear tape on my layers, I have a hard time because I have to rub the tape down, and I'm moving my layers out of place. So I'm on glue now, guys. I'm on glue. Oh my God, that sounds awful. It sounds like I do glue as like a drug. I didn't mean it like that. All right. So I decided that I want to create this look, this hand-drawn look. It reminds me a lot of like 60s pop art kind of, and also will help me set my layers apart from my white background. And I think that's really important when you're using a white background. You really want to, the colors are sometimes enough, but they might start to blend with each other. So outlining is a great way to kind of separate your layers and help them pop up from the background. And I also wanted, because my stamping and some of my embellishments have that hand-drawn element, and you'll also see that on the next layout with the all-white background, the all-white background where I do a minimalist. I really want to make sure that everything looks separate, but also has this kind of fun 60s hand-drawn look. Now, as I'm doing this, I think, I'm just going to pop the corners, and that'll be enough. And once I put the center down, it looks really like weird, like having the center of the photo dip down. So I'm just going to take a couple more pop dots and put them in the center, so the whole thing is raised up from my paper cluster. Get it on there. If you look really closely on the left of my hand, you're going to see 2 coffee rings. I made that using Tim Holtz Tea Dye Distress ink, a little bit of water, and the bottom of my glass. And you'll see me do it again in a minute. I just take the glass, I dip it in the Tim Holtz and the water, and just pop it right down on the page, bam, and that's it. And that's all you need to do. You get this really nice puddling effect that looks just like real coffee rings. So I thought that was a lot of fun. To add to it, there's a song called Coffee Break, and this has a coffee theme to it. You'll see one of the lyrics I put as part of my repeating motif. It's a part in the song where we all go, coffee, 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 ah! So I thought it would be fun to actually make the whole repeating motif say the lyric. Stamp, Versamark? I can't read that. I think it's Versamark, and it was like, it has a bunch of different things. One of them said coffee. A bag that I got from Dollar Tree, some Storyteller chipboards, because I know that there is a typewriter on there. Those Storyteller chipboard. I'm going to be sad when my Storyteller stuff is gone. I love it. It's my favorite collection. Yep, I'm going to cut out the one typewriter, and you'll see it has that hand-drawn look to it. It's just to kind of tie everything in. The stamp that I'm going to use has a hand-drawn look to the typewriter. I just think that really adds, again, that fun 60s look to it, kind of pop art. I hate these. I started cutting out these typewriters, and they didn't look very 1960s, very like, you know, that time period, that Mad Men kind of look. It didn't have that. It looked just like really old. So you can see I've got like a teal and a lime green stamp there. Those colors, again, were the colors that were in our set. So I'm just going to take that stamp and dip it in the inks, and I'm going to just put that around to kind of create a little bit more color and to add, because I really wanted a lot of typewriters to be on there. You can't see it very much when you look at the layout in the video, but they are there. Hopefully you'll see them in the pictures. That typewriter is from a Dear Lizzie kit, again with that beautiful bluey teal color. I loved it, and I'm going to actually cover up the words on there because I think it says I'm so lucky. I didn't really need it to say that. So I take and you'll see eventually coming up. That's from the Storyteller collection. It's a chipboard piece. There were chipboard sheets. Crepe Paper actually usually makes a chipboard sheet to go with their collections, and it's a great way to add a little something if you have a collection where you want to boost it up a little bit. Get your chipboards, guys. All right, so again, I with this white background and any kind of really, where you have a really plain background, you can create almost like your own pattern on the page by using stamping repetitively over and over again, the same stamp. And I think that's what drew me to Adele's layout, was that she used an obscene amount of the same motif over and over again. And there you can see I replaced the coffee paper on the typewriter paper with the word coffee. But I just really love that she used so many mustaches, so many cameras, so much of it that it became almost overwhelming, but it became like a pattern on the page. So this is a great way to take a white background and make it more exciting. Oh my gosh, the mistake I make with those recollections type stickers. Guys, count your letters before you start putting them down on your paper. Yeah, I definitely did not have enough ease, and that became a problem. But I'd fix it, kind of. That typewriter and the next one that you're going to see are both from the memorandum collection. Again, I wanted as many typewriters on here as possible. First, ones that were different, and then with my stamping, there'll be a repetitive motif of that. I mean, it's just going to be repeating over and over again. I say the word repetitive motif one more time. I'm like in this repeating mode today, probably because of the thing. I know when I was like practicing what I was going to say here today, I kept saying it over and over again. But yes, and I do practice before I talk, guys. I know I sound crazy and like completely jumbled or whatever, but believe that's with practice. Yeah, so I'm just going through my letters, and I'm like thinking to myself, before I put any more down, I should put down my journaling. This is the first time, and maybe the last, I don't know. I like it, but I don't like it. This is another trend that's going on right now, is typing out your journaling and then cutting into strips and putting it down. And so the font that I use is a typewriter font. I love it, and you can find a lot of free fonts on DaFont or Font Squirrel. And I think I got this one off of Font Squirrel. I'm sorry guys, I can't remember the name of it, and trying to find it in my thing is impossible. But yeah, I just wanted to keep that kind of, again, that typewriter thing going on. But cutting into the strips and laying it down, definitely another trend that's going on. Give it a try. These are, oh my God, where did I get these? I got these at Joann Fabric, these tiles, like a million years ago. Something one. I can't remember, but I use them every once in a while, but I'm going to use up all of my ease.
And now I am like, oh, I hope I don't have any more E-words, because I really love those. That thicker is called Memo. It has a print on it that looks like corkboard, which I wish I had planned a little better, because I feel like I made my layout a little bottom heavy by putting all the color at the bottom of the page, and I really probably should have used that that thicker up a little bit higher to kind of break up the all of the gray and black tiles. Oh, if you look up next to the top typewriter, that I fixed by mistake by putting the white little letters up there. Yeah, because when I put those heavy ones, the ones that I'm using now, I put it down, and then when I took it off, I was like, ooh, you could see there was marks on the paper, and there was no other way to cover it except to put more letters up there. And that just says, you can't see it, but it's A-H-H. Okay. I feel like there's not enough typewriters, and I really want there to be a lot. So now I'm going to take and use black ink to fill in the space, because I felt like you couldn't really see the green and the blue ones. They're just adding a little something to the layout. But again, it's a repetitive motif. I want a lot of what is supposed to be there. So I'm just going to move around, and when I go to the edges of my paper, I try to use something so I can keep stamping without thinking. Oh, these letters, what did they say? Switchboard from Pink Paisley. I've been waiting to use these letters for so long. They're chipboard letters, and on them they've got that look of green ledger paper with the stripes in it. I love them. They're so cute. And I'm going to use, this is the first part of my title is going to be on this page, and then the next part of the title is going to be on the other companion page. And it's going to say How to Succeed, because again, the show is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, but everybody just calls it How to Succeed. Just going to glue those down. They weren't sticky, but even if they were, I was going to use glue because I don't trust stickers. What am I putting there? Oh, paper clips. These paper clips I got in the Target dollar spot, and they're a bright fuchsia pink. They match my dress, and I really wanted to add a triptych. So my pink in my dress, and then the two pink paper clips create like a triangle of color on there. And that's it, guys. That's the end of this layout. I am going to do a little something to it, which we'll see in the next video. But in the close-ups, hopefully you can see some of the blue and the green stamping in there. I know it's very faint, but I really enjoyed this. And I think that I'm definitely going to explore this white background thing more. Plain whites, textured whites, and especially this repeating look. I love the idea of using a lot of one item to create a pattern. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next part of the video. Okay, here are some pictures. Bye!